8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1.
Coming soon. Snake River Manufacturing is developing a revolutionary new way to design and build a custom kayak trailer. This modular design lets you customize your trailer one piece at a time, allowing you to grow as you go.
Looking for unbeatable customer service and a kayak shop that truly cares? At No Bad Days Kayak, Forrest and his team treat every customer like family. With unmatched attention to detail, they'll even ship your dream kayak anywhere in the U.S. No stress, no hassle, no bad days. Hello, everyone. Thank you for joining me for episode 11 of the Kayak Cafe. As you see, the podcast is sponsored by Snake River Manufacturing as well as No Bad Days Kayak. If you're looking for a quality kayak trailer, go to snakerivermanufacturing.us and see what they have to offer. They are coming out with some amazing products that are going to be modular. So you can buy a base model kayak trailer. And then as you grow, you can add pieces to it. So you can add on the upper level, the extra lockers, the panels, all kinds of things. And if you're looking for a quality kayak or even a quality experience, check out Forrest at nobaddays.kayak.com. He's amazing. His whole team is amazing. So, all right. On this episode, we have Philip Hudock. Hopefully I got that right because I asked him and I totally forgot it. Of 47 Lures. He is a great individual who makes some really, really unique products. So we're going to bring him in and we're going to talk about the innovations that are 47 Lures. Hello, Phil. How are you?
Hey, how you doing?
I am well.
You got the last name spot on.
Yes.
So.
Yeah. My last name's Widgeon and no one ever gets it.
Yeah,
no one.
I was a little scared to take an attempt at it. You know,
Yeah.
It looks intimidating.
Right. I called a Bass Pro one time and they said, oh, how do you pronounce your name? I was like, Widgeon. She's like, oh, yeah. I hunt them all the time. I was like, yeah, that's where grandma went.
Yeah. Oh, dang.
Awesome. So for those out there that do not know you, would you take a moment and just tell them who you are and what you do briefly?
Sure. Yeah, absolutely. My name is Philip. I am the CEO of 47 Lures. We are a soft plastic company. We make all sorts of different soft plastics, everything from 5-inch stick bait worms and 6-inch finesse worms, all the way on up to very, very weird and odd looking things. Things like the Aerosphere and the Bone Dancer, and just some very odd looking baits that are actually very, very proven and very effective in catching anything.
Very nice. So when you started the company, what was your main purpose for starting 47 Lures?
Well, when I first started, I was like, man, I really love fishing. I think I'll start a company so I don't have to buy fishing baits anymore. And now that I have a company, I never get to fish. And I have boxes of baits and that I'll never seemingly be able to actually go out and fish. So
Tell me about it. Yes. Yeah. That's how I feel with the magazine.
Yeah. It's like you start something because it's your passion, and then all of a sudden it's like, oh, just kidding.
Yes. Yeah. So, how did you come up with the name 47 Lures?
All right, now this is a good one. So I fell down a YouTube hole one day, and I started looking at these videos about the greatest government cover-up of all time, right? Roswell. Right? Roswell happened in 1947, right?
Mm-hmm.
And for 70 years, everyone lied about it. And then they declassified the files, and hey, turns out maybe something happened, right? I don't know if it happened or not. But, and then I started thinking, I was like, man, the type of person that enjoys going out in nature and fishing probably also doesn't enjoy the big man
Mhm.
upstairs, right? So I named it, I named it 4-7 because I was like, this is the type of people that I would cater to. It's the same mentality. It's like, sometimes you need to take a break from the big man upstairs, and do that by going fishing, right? So
And how long were you creating lures as a I wouldn't say it as a hobby before you decided to go full time?
5 years.
5 years.
Yeah, 5 years. And I actually didn't start doing soft plastics. I was always a woodworker,
Hmm.
making tables and chairs and all that sort of stuff. And so the first thing I actually made was a set of glide baits because I was
Mm.
super intrigued I was like, man, this like, you could make like a 7 or 8 inch giant looking fish, and I bought like a whole airbrushing setup and compressor and like went crazy doing that for a little while. And then I started adding things in, like I started doing crankbaits and jerkbaits, you know carving them out of balsa and then painting them.
Hmm.
And then I moved into like jigs and spinner baits and all that sort of stuff. And then I found soft plastics and I was like, holy, like this is what I enjoy doing, right? So I don't know, it kind of took a very weird trip. But yeah, I mean, I still have all of those original sets of glide baits and cranks and all that sort of stuff. And even though I don't market them or sell them anymore, there are a couple people in the world that still have original copies of crankbaits that I've created and things like that. But
Hmm.
yeah, just took it a different direction.
Was there like a defining moment where you were like, okay, this is more than a hobby?
Oh man, I mean, I guess I've always fished like wacky rigs, and
Hmm.
I started making my own Sinkos. That was probably one of the first molds I had, and man, just at that point, I was just like, man. And I think the defining moment, like that was where I decided I wanted to push forward and go further.
Hmm.
And I think the defining moment was just being able to work in the capacity I work with the different clubs I work with, and the different personalities and such. And it all kind of came together. I had a whole bunch of sales, and I kind of just realized that I had something unique to offer. So, I mean, I guess it was kind of one after the other. First, I found my passion, and then the
Hmm.
business did really well. And I was like, okay, I can actually turn this into something.
Right. That's a really good feeling when you're doing something for yourself and then you realize, wait a minute, I can turn this into something that's beneficial to the family.
Mm-hmm. Other
So
people might enjoy this.
yes. Is there a what inspiration do you pull from to design your baits? And we'll go over some of the unique designs, but I feel like some of these are um, maybe in a cornfield with a bright light one night, and they're like,
Yeah, yeah. Well, we've all had those experiences, right?
yeah.
Man, some of
I
these
will
design,
say I'm very disappointed. I don't see a bait called a crop circle.
you might, it's coming.
Mm. Mm.
um, part of it is JDM. Like
Hmm.
a lot of the stuff in the Japan fishing scene, their water is so pressured. I mean, you can't just go out there on any bass boat any given weekend and throw a worm in the water and catch anything. Like you have to use something that is so far out of what they've seen that they will be forced into biting it. So part of it is like the JDM scene. I kind of like stick my nose in there a lot, and I just see what's going on and what they're doing, and different ideas. And then the other part of it is just like the insanity, the static that I have up in my head all the time. And it's like I just you know, like a couple weeks ago, I woke up and I was like, man, I had a dream about a bait that I wanted to design. It's
Right.
like I told my wife about it, and she was like, that's the most insane thing I've ever heard. And I was like, yeah, well, just let me talk to my mold maker and we'll figure out if it's insane or not.
Yeah.
So
Your mold maker's like, yeah, we could do it.
yeah,
You're
he's
gonna
like,
buy how many molds? Do it.
yeah, this will
Yeah.
be 100 hours on the CNC machine, sure.
So how do you balance your creativity with practicality when it comes to baits? Because I know that um, most people, I'll say myself, like I own 50 different domains. I have the option of all of these different things that I want to do. Like I need to focus in on what I'm doing versus what I want to do. How do you manage that? Because you seem like you're along the same lines as I am with all your ideas.
Well, some of it just comes down to functional testing.
Hmm.
I come up with a bait mold, and before I ever release anything to the public, I always test it. I go catch fish on it. I circulate it to people that fish, people I work with,
Mhm.
and I mean work with through the company, like sponsored partnerships and things of that nature. I get their opinions on it, and I kind of get a community overview of like, would this work? I have created molds where I take it out and I've fished it, and multiple trips I've never caught anything. And if that's the case, I won't release it to the public. I just feel like if it's not going to work, maybe it'll be something cool that I'll use on my own, but they usually just go in the shed in a pile, molds I'll never use. I've thrown molds away like that before, just like, oh, well, this one doesn't work. I actually had a minnow bait.
Mhm.
When I very first started, I did my own minnow mold, and it just didn't have the right action. I mean, I probably spent like 50 hours with the CNC guy. And here's the thing, like when you're working with a machinist, they'll cut whatever you want. Like whatever your idea is, they will bring it to life and put it into metal. But that doesn't guarantee that it's a functional bait, right?
Right.
Like you can take that bait, put it on a line, and it just doesn't have the correct action. It just never did. I just took the mold and threw it in the garbage. I was just like, well, obviously this is an idea that didn't work. So I would just like to say that functional testing is probably the biggest part of all of that, and then being a fisher myself, I mean, I fished for many, many years. Kayak fishing is my main jam, but, I kind of have a sense of what works as far as like freshwater. You
Right.
want to go catch a bass, like, dude, I got 50 different products that can do that, right? And then moving into saltwater as well, I kind of have an idea. I have less experience there, but I'm fortunate to work with a bunch of different captains and things that have a lot of experience there. So it really just comes down to functionality.
Awesome. Do you do tank testing, or are you just mainly on the water chunking it?
Both.
Both.
Yeah. So I'll do tank testing when I'm prototyping an idea. For instance, I have a new frog that I'm working on. And man, I've probably gone through like 50 different versions of it because I put it in the tank and I want the legs to move a certain way as I pull it across the tank, right?
Right.
And this is like before I even take it out to the pond or the lake or whatever it is, like I have to be satisfied with how it looks in the tank first. Then
Right.
I'll take it out and do, real testing.
Have you come up with a design that you were just surprised that it worked?
Man, I'm still surprised at this one, but the aerosphere and then the fuzzy dice, man, I like from a conceptual level, I guess I understand why they work because it's the same reason a jig works, right? Like what does a jig look like? Like a little bluegill or something, right? Yeah. There's the aerosphere, right? So that kind of gives you the same idea of like what could this look like with little pulsing hairs, but I'm still surprised that that's so effective. I came out with that bait. I came out with all these different colors and everything. When I was testing that, man, I'm telling you, those fish hit the rod so hard they try to rip it out of your hands. And I've never seen fish get that aggressive over like a bait.
Now, what's your favorite way to fish that?
So you can fish it. Drop shot is pretty popular. Put the weight under. I like to fish it with like a bigger, like an EWG hook. I just thread the ball right into the crook of the hook, and then I use a free weight on the line. So that way, because those aerospheres float, and I use rubber legs. So with a normal jig or a skirt on anything, it's usually silicone.
Right.
Excuse me. And the silicone, when it hits the bottom, it just lays flat. So it kind of opens up like a flower, and it just lays there. It doesn't do anything, right? The rubber legs I use pulse upward. So like as the bait falls, you'll see these legs kind of trailing upward. And then when it hits the bottom, they will just stick upward and hit the current. So they kind of pulse underwater. But that's my favorite way to do it. I put a free weight on the line because what that enables it to do is you cast it out there, the weight will hit the bottom, but since it floats, the aerosphere will just like float up above it with the legs and everything going crazy, and then the fish will just cruise by and snatch it.
So you could pretty much just work it in one spot, have it go up and down the whole time.
Yeah, absolutely. Or you can do really small like rod jerks, I guess, like kind of just scooting the weight forward, which will then kind of cause it to shake behind it. So that's my favorite way to do it. You can also stick like a 16th ounce weight or something, like a nail weight up at the bottom, and just like just straight hook it. So
yeah, when I first saw it, I was like, I don't know what it's supposed to be, but then again, if it works, who cares what it's supposed to be? You know,
Yeah, I relate that to like what does a jig look like, right? A jig,
right,
and then you're right. It's kind of like, well, if the bass bite it, who cares what it looks like? I'm not a bass. I don't know what it looks like to them, but
right.
it pisses them off and it makes them bite it. So,
Yeah, like the fuzzy dice. That
yeah,
the whole thought process behind that is kind of an interesting thing. I heard somewhere where it's supposed to emulate a plankton or something small that they eat when they're really small, and they just instinctually bite it. But I mean, I don't know who asked them.
yeah. No, the fuzzy dice, I don't get that either. They work,
Yeah,
man. You drop shot those fuzzy dice, and it's like game changer, dude. You'll catch fish every day of the week, all day long, and I don't know why. And it works for largemouth and smallmouth too. So if you're and also weirdly enough, like things like pike, like if you take it out to a river, we got the Cape Fear River right in my backyard. You take it out to a river and float down it and fish for a little while, you'll definitely catch like a pike or like a river fish
yeah,
on a little dice. And that again, those are rubber legs. So a lot of the competition or people, I know these fuzzy dice is like the next hottest thing in the fishing world these days.
right.
But those guys are using silicone skirts. So again, those legs, they're not going to pulse. They're not going to have any movement. They just fall through the water, right?
Mhm.
Rubber legs, it adds extra flotation to it. And then it also kind of vibrates as it falls and kind of catches the current and everything. So
Now, how would you recommend fishing the gambler's dice?
the dice, drop shot
Drop shot.
100% of the time. Yeah, either that or like I've had success. I love wacky rigging. I don't know why, but it's
Hmm.
just it's so simple. You just hook something, throw it out there, and that's it. But you have to be careful with wacky rigging because you're using a smaller hook a lot of times, and a lot of
Hmm.
times that hook is not going to be able to counteract the buoyancy of the dice. And I have to state
Right.
again, these dice float, right? So you take a handful of them, toss them on the water, they're just going to sit there. They're not going to do anything. So you need a heavier hook. So that way, when you toss it off into the water, that hook weight is actually going to cause that to sink. But drop shot 100% of the time. You can drop shot this all day, every single day. If that's the only way you ever fished a dice, you would catch fish almost 100% of the time on it.
And I see you have the neon colors. So I know that I asked you what you would recommend for bass. You said probably the black and the white. What would you see catching, biting the neon colors? What?
Uh, so, so river monsters, man,
Mhm.
pike, muskie, smallmouth too. The fluorescent colors like pink, and
Nice.
weirdly enough, I mean, pink works. Pink works with freshwater as well, but
Hmm.
and then also like, man, for some reason, if you take it out in the ocean, you'll get river monsters that are now ocean monsters, I guess, that'll also bite at these fluorescent colors, and I think it just has to do with them being able to see it.
Right.
So,
Southwest says they are such unique baits and they work for sure.
oh, 100%. Yeah. Catfish will bite anything. But yeah, I mean, I've definitely caught catfish when I'm like shotting for, freshwater or whatever with the dice.
So you have some really 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 unique baits in here.
Mhm.
Let me see. I'm gonna go to the one that jumps at me the most here. I'm gonna do a screen share.
Yeah.
I want you to explain this bad boy to
I
me.
think I think I have an idea of which one it is.
I would like to know what you were thinking when you made it, as well as what happens. This bad boy right here.
Yeah, so this is actually a take on a JDM bait. So you have to make yours a bit different.
Hmm.
And mine has the tassels on the end and the little balls on the end as well. And the head of mine is a little bit wider.
Hmm.
But yeah, I mean, it looks like I don't know, like a little fish skeleton or something.
Hmm.
The way to rig these, man, if you get like just a super small hook, um, if you look into hover strolling in Japan, they're using like 1/32 ounce weights and like the tiniest hooks you've ever seen, like owner, like number 10s or something. They're so small, right?
Hmm.
If you take one of those small hooks and just thread it up through the back, man, it's a perfect bait. And all of those ribs and everything, they catch water and they pulse water. As it falls, it makes a super weird water distortion. And that those bass will try to, I mean, I know for a fact bass and catfish will try to rip the rod straight out of your hand when they see these things. I've never taken that like saltwater fishing. I've never taken a bait like that to the ocean, but I can imagine that it might have a similar effect. Kind of looks like a shrimp or like some kind of weird crustacean type thing,
Yeah, it's very unique. That's the one thing, because we've been talking for quite a while now,
Mhm.
and I go on every once in a while, and I'm like, man, I don't even know what to think about some of these things. Like I feel like it's the mad scientist, if you will. Like, oh
Yeah.
wow,
Yeah, that's what I was telling you, man. Half of it is like, oh wow, they got this weird looking thing over in Japan, and then the other half of it is like, let me just like roll this around in my head for a little bit, like like think on it, and then like I just have this insane moment where I come up with this idea, and I'm like, that's it,
yes.
that's what I want.
So you are sort of like myself. You're a solo entrepreneur. So how do you manage wearing all the hats? Because you're the innovator, the maker, the marketer. Do you have any time to go fishing or
No. Yeah,
no?
no. I started this company because I love fishing, and now it's like the last thing I ever get the opportunity to do. Like I said, I have a box of baits in the shed. So it's like sometimes if you're doing like a smaller order or whatever, you get one worm out of 50 that will have a dent in it. That's like,
Hmm.
okay, well, I can't sell this worm, right? So I just toss it in a box. It's like, you know, um, I don't really do like a whole lot of remelts. Like I'm not going to make fresh product out of like previously used plastic and things of that nature. I try to keep it as fresh as possible. So, um, yeah, I got a whole box. I never have time to fish. I love fishing. I would love to make time to fish, but it's just like, do I want to make time to go fishing and spend 8 hours on my kayak or like a boat, or do I want to catch up on all these customer orders that I have? And I kind of feel like customer service being
Hmm.
as terrible as it is in the industry,
Right.
um, that's the one thing that any company can do that will separate you far away from every other single crappy company out there. So I mean, that's
Yeah.
that's how I do it. Is just I'm on that grind. I guess if there ever was a weekend where I just didn't have a stack of orders lined up and
Mm.
I was like caught up, sure, I'll go fishing. But
It's like a blessing and a curse. It's like
yeah, yeah,
I own
yeah,
a photo studio, and it's like I could go fishing this weekend because we don't have a wedding,
yeah,
but we don't have a wedding.
yeah.
So.
Yeah, and I mean, as far as all the different hats in my day job, I've actually been in the business consulting world for software companies and
Hmm.
for a very long time, and that you wear different hats in that capacity. Like I've worked in software sales, I've worked in project management and marketing. So like I have the experience just from the reality of life,
Hmm.
really. And like I'm really just kind of taking this experience and reflecting it into how I want this company to go.
Very nice. So, what's your biggest challenge going to full time? Because I know that you went from hobbyist, let's say, to now
Mhm.
now you're all in. You're
Mhm.
you're going full tilt. What's your biggest challenge you found so far? Like if someone
Uh,
out there wants to go and do something like you have.
well, there's a couple of them. The first one is finding quality people that are willing to put in the time to work. And I say, everyone these days, the whole thing is like, oh, no one wants to work, and it's true. But the reality of this is that this is a manufacturing job. So it's like the type of people that are attracted to a manufacturing job are just not always the most motivated to stay at a manufacturing job. And it's like you try. I got a couple people that I work with that I pay and all that sort of stuff, but um, I would say that their passion does not, like, they're thinking of it more as a job.
Right.
They're there to punch the clock, get that paycheck, and get out, right? So the passion kind of lacks, and you can see that. I mean, sometimes there've been some serious issues that I've had. I got rid of a guy because like he we put out these swim baits, and like every swim bait that he would put out, like I teach him how to do it. It's a fairly involved onboarding process. Like I'm not just going to let you melt 400 like 400-degree plastic
Hmm.
without any instruction, right? Like obviously that's a risk to me. So I show them how to do it. Like they work with me typically for weeks and weeks before I actually put them into a like manufacturing production. Um, but every single thing that he made was just terrible. Like it just had like quality control, and I try to stress that, like quality control,
Right.
like this is something that you're giving, someone is buying, like spending their money to with us to get a quality product. So But so that's the first challenge, is just finding people that are in the mindset enough that they want to pursue a manufacturing job. Because at the end of the day, you can say, hey, yeah, I like to go out on bass boats all day long and fish these baits and all that. But like this is manufacturing, right? Like, in a production facility, I wear PPE. I have my guys wear PPE, right? Like, I make sure that they're not getting burned and all this stuff that maybe you don't think about. So that's the first one. Then the other one is like, once you get to a certain point with your company is upscaling. Like, you have to be willing and ready to jump into the deep end. And that means spending a lot of money on more machines and a lot of money on, here's a weird one. I had to rewire my entire shop to 20 amp, right? Because with the advert of these machines that I'm buying, it's like every single one of these needs a 20 amp breaker. And I'm like, okay, well, I'm pulling them from the main, right? Each one of these is 15 amp. So I had to rewire the entire shop, okay, now we have to go entire 20 amp. So I think that being willing and ready to step up into scale, I think, is another challenge that a lot of people would not be prepared to do. It's like, you want to go drop $5,000 on a production level machine, or do you want to spend $5,000 on whatever it is people spend money on these days? I have no idea. So
baits.
yeah. Hopefully with us.
Yeah, that's very, because we were talking before the show, and I'm at a scale point sort of myself where I need to either find someone to do ad sales or create layouts for the magazine. And it's kind of like, okay, what do I do here? Where do I go? And it's a tricky transition, because no one really has your back. It's all on you. You make the wrong decision, it's on you. So
and then the product suffers. The end result, if you make the wrong choice. And it's like, man, you just got to be willing to sometimes, and I would almost argue that it's easier for me to upscale because I can just go buy a machine, right? Versus you upscaling, because you literally have to teach someone how to lay out for a magazine. You have to teach someone about, like, I don't know how many people that are watching this have actually done like CAD or any sort of design. But just when you have words on a page, all of that has to be oriented in a specific way, like images, right? Like text and all that sort of stuff. It's far more involved. I would almost say you have a much harder time than I do.
At times I feel the stress, but I love every moment of it. I get to meet so many cool people. Joey says we're having a good conversation. I agree.
Good. Yeah.
I agree.
Okay,
so, all right. So we're kind of at the midway point, and this is when we break out the questions that were submitted. It's sponsored by Kayak Coffee. So if anybody is in the need for a caffeine fix, Kayak Coffee makes some amazing coffee.
Have you tried that coffee?
Oh, I have.
I want to try it.
Oh, yes. Yeah, I have a AeroPress and a grinder in the car, and I just get it going before. And I love the smell. So we have a couple questions here from Steve Burge. Steve's my go-to. He always asks questions. I appreciate him for that. Okay, so his first question is, when developing a lure, how do you decide the color combinations that will be part of production?
Oh, okay. All right. So as a fisherman, there's like 5 different colors that everyone uses all the time, right? There's some sort of watermelon red. Every day of the week, watermelon red, hands down, is the highest seller in every single bait we sell, right? There's some sort of black, right? So you could do black with literally any color flake, black and red flake, black and purple flake, black and blue flake, right? There's going to be some kind of white, some kind of shad color, right? Or some kind of off-white, right? And then there's going to be some kind of green pumpkin magic, which of course is like a darker, more solid watermelon. It's still kind of a green, but like far darker, right? And then you'll probably have some kind of red, like scuppernong candy or some kind of strawberry or something like that, right? Those are the 5 that will sell hands down every single day of the week. So obviously those are the 5 that every single one, most of our baits are going to come out with to begin with, at least the new baits, because that's what we know, that's where the market is, right?
Right.
Now, as far as all the other colors, in the bloodworm, which is a bait we just released, I came out with a color called bluegill. It's blue on one side, like a cloud blue, and then like an orange on the other side, right? And that just came from my head. Believe it or not, yes, there are colors that everyone knows sells, and every single company makes, the variety of colors that they know sell. Like a big one right now, fire crawl. And I make those in our flex fin shads, right? Fire crawl sells every day of the week, orange and red, right? So there's a kind of a handful of those. Some of these colors, yep, this is the bluegill. That's the color that I came up with. And then the other part of this is like with this becoming a company and kind of me merging into scaling into higher and higher production and stuff. I mean, like my free time is gone now. Like, if I have time on the weekends, I'm out in the shop and I'm messing around. I'm like, oh man, this looks cool, right? And I'm doing stuff myself, so. And then some of that stuff is just stuff that I come up with. It's just like, oh man, this is a cool color. I think this would really work. I'm going to take it out and test it. I've tested those bluegill colored bloodworms, and they work great, because it looks exactly like a little tiny bluegill, right? So if you're feeding on bluegill, why would you not, kind of eat that? So that is a large part of it. It's just kind of 50% like industry color that'll sell no matter what, 50% kind of messing around and figuring it out myself. And then I have people that I work with. People contact us all the time because I still do individual bags of baits. Like if you want to buy 1 or 2 bags from us, we do. And we also have scaled up with production. So I do everything from, 1 bag of worms all the way up to 1,000 bags of worms, if you desire that. So, and a lot of times, and we still do custom orders too. So a lot of times people will reach out to us with what has worked for them. And they'll say, hey, like, I have this weird blue color with actually the Wave Walker is one of the swim baits released. There's a color that's completely blue and it has silver whisker glitter in it, right? And there was a guy that reached out to me who was like, dude, this works like wherever I'm located. I think he was like in Michigan or something like that. Really cold water. I said, all right, I'll give it a try, right? So like there's another component of it actually, which I think is very cool. And it's like it's kind of customer driven. Like they give me ideas. They say, hey, this works. Hey, I want to see if this would work. Hey, make up a bag like this. I just made a bag the other week. A guy wanted a bag of Cincos or stick baits. Sorry, Gary. If you don't know, Cinco is copyrighted, and Gary's lawyers will 100%. You'll get that cease and desist very, very quickly if you're using that term. But so stick baits. So he said, hey, I want like this color stick bait, but I want the tail to look like lichen or like moss, like a green, blue, gold. So I created this like green, blue, gold thing. But that's an example. It's like, okay, now I can take that and I can put it on the website. Like, hey, maybe other people would be interested in using this.
Very, yeah, I can see that. The customs would be a way to test out your palate, but you stay to your core. So, his second question is, how do you market your lures?
How do I market them? So Facebook ads is a huge one. I sponsor every single kayak fishing club in North Carolina, South Carolina, and Georgia. And by sponsor, I mean I give them prize packs. So like, if you're fishing CCKF or, even out toward the coast, casting coastal in Georgia, there's SC Yak. If you're fishing any of these events on a kayak, at least, then you're going to get a prize pack with, a bag of baits, my logo and everything all over it. So a lot of it is going to be outreach. I do work with a couple of, I guess for lack of a better term, I call them sponsored partnerships because I think the term pro staff is completely terrible in today's market. But so I work with a couple guys that, have YouTube channels and they do promotions for me as well. We're working up to actually do a trade show this year. So we're going to do the bass and saltwater fishing trade show. It's the biggest trade show in North Carolina for fishing related things. So we're going to do that. But I would say that and then the other thing is social media, man. I mean, in today's age and time, like social media marketing is 98% of all marketing. And there's actually studies that say that, like even completely in the absence of a lure company, like if you look at the type of marketing that is most prevalent these days for anything, it's social media. So, YouTube channel, Facebook, Instagram, managing all of that is a pain. It's a lot, but you got to stay in front of people's faces, right? You got to constantly have product out there. You got to constantly have stuff going out to them. They got to be seeing it, right? The YouTube channel, you got to have people looking at your videos. All of it, there's an old saying about marketing, 50% of your marketing works and you'll never know which 50% it is. You know?
Yeah. That sounds very accurate. Yeah. So puppies.
Yeah.
With your company, where can they find your lures?
Yeah, so I have a website, www.47lures.com. You can order directly from the website. We have all the social media in the world, of course. It's all 47 Lures. So we have a YouTube channel, we have a Facebook channel, we have an Instagram. All of that is /47 Lures. If you come to the Bass and Saltwater, fishing trade show this year, you'll find us there. We'll have a big stand and a big booth. Yeah, so I mean, various, you could get a hold of me just by calling or sending me an email. If you wanted something custom made, those are options as well. And then local tournaments as well. I still fish tournaments. I still try to be around and be there, get out on the kayak.
Yeah, one of the contributors to the magazine, Daniel Woodcock, he's a tournament director for South Georgia
Southeast.
Kayak.
Yep. Yeah, we're working with him. I was actually
Yep.
on his podcast a couple weeks ago, and we're sponsoring his whole trail, his whole thing. So yeah, lots of different ways.
That's really cool. So I know that you create lures for freshwater and saltwater.
Mhm.
Do you look at your lures and how they work in both environments, or do you design for the environment?
I design for the environment. So I am a freshwater fisher. That's what I have experience in. That's what I've been fishing for 30 years, right?
Mm-hmm.
The saltwater thing to me is actually very, very new. And it's so new, in fact, like within the past year, did we pick up a whole bunch of saltwater stuff. And it's because we booked so my father lives down in Georgia.
Mm-hmm.
We went down last year sometime and we booked just a chartered trip. Got to know the guy, and turns out he's been a captain for about 35 years. He's got a lot of experience in the industry. So we got together, we started making baits, and he was like, hey, do you make these 3.5-inch paddle tail? Absolutely. That's probably one of the most popular freshwater baits ever, right? Little Kayak, fat swing impact or whatever. Dude, people use those, buy them all day long, right? Yes, I make them. And he's like, okay, well, could you make them in these colors? Like I catch redfish, I catch trout, I catch this. And because he's been a captain for so long, he has a ton of experience as far as like old colors that work that aren't sold anymore, right? So between him and then I picked up a couple other captains down around that area, we were able to come up with a whole bunch of different colors, grubs, swim baits. And so it's kind of like half of it. I don't really have a whole lot of experience personally with saltwater. I love fishing. I'll go saltwater fishing any day of the week. Like put me on a shark, let me catch a pompano, like whatever it is, right? But he's kind of piloting as far as like what would work, just based on his experience. So he's like, hey, let's talk about this color. Hey, let's talk about this. And I'm just really fortunate that he has the experience. If you guys are ever, in Georgia and you want a quality fishing trip, hit me up. I'll send you his information because, man, he'll put you on some fish. But it's his experience that is kind of flowing through me. And then we were able to work with a couple other captains down there as well. Everyone has different ideas. They know what works. They've been doing it on their own. So,
yeah, I was looking at the bloodworm, and I think that would be a great lure for speckled trout.
Mm-hmm. So actually, if you put that on just a super light jig head, or you could even do a hover rig, weirdly enough, if you can get it in there, that thing, man, they will eat. And redfish, they'll eat them every day of the week, man. Those things, they get gobbled up by everything.
Is there a lure that you would say is a bestseller for saltwater?
Yeah, 3.5-inch swim bait.
Yeah,
probably that's the biggest one.
The go-to.
I also do I do 4-inch grubs. With the curly tail on them. Those things, man, the fresh and saltwater, those things sell every day of the week. And then I also do shrimp, artificial shrimp. That's called the bay shrimp on the site there. And you put those on any sort of jig head, swim jig, anything like that. Man, it just looks like a little shrimp. But those are the three. And then I've also done like smaller trout worms. Those, of course, are like custom order and everything. But yeah, those are the bay shrimp.
Yeah,
that's we got a couple of different basic colors or whatever, but you can see, you put that on a jig head and it's like, oh,
Right.
that's a shrimp, right? So really with the staples,
Put it under a popping cork and you'll be good to go.
those popping corks, that's like the most recommended way to fish that shrimp is just put it on a popping cork, put like a 16th or 32nd ounce split shot on the line.
Mm-hmm.
You'll catch a fish every day of the week. I actually have pictures from one of my captains down there that, with like the shrimp in the fish's mouth, and he got a picture of it, and sent it to me, so.
So you mentioned earlier that you're a kayak angler. What kayak do you have?
I got a couple kayaks. So I've got a native Titan, 10 and a half, and that's a pedal drive. And then I went a bit crazy and I added everything in the world to it. So I have it's like competition ready. I have an NK 180 on it. And this was, of course, before the 300 came out. So there's the motor. I recently just added foot steering to it. I have, then I went and I got a Garmin 93 SB or whatever for, and a GT56 or whatever for side scan and down scan. And then I went and I added forward facing sonar, and that's on another monitor. And most recently, I just added a second forward facing sonar so that I can run down mode and perspective mode in the same thing. Now, of course, that looks like 3 graphs. That's 3 10-inch graphs on the side of my face. I have a 100 amp hour battery in the back and a 50 amp hour battery in the front. I have all the lights. I have all that stuff, right? Like, and it really got to a point where it was like, this thing sucks. This thing is such a pain in the ass to take down a ramp. I mean, dude, the tip of the kayak weighs it's like 275 pounds now. With the kayak crate and all the rods, and it's just like, so it got so to the point where I was just like, I just didn't even enjoy putting the kayak in the water because now it's like a boat, right? That's like, now it's like a boat. So I went and I just most recently, or last year, I bought there's a company called Sea Eagle. They're based out of Hawaii. It's actually run by a veteran, and he was doing whitewater rafting, canoes, kayaks, and the big whitewater rafts. So he took that concept of that rubber and he applied it into making kayaks. So now he makes it's called the Fish Sup, and I think it's a 14 or a 16 foot, completely inflatable. But it's made out of the whitewater kayaking, like the very rough plastic. Like you can roll over rocks in this thing all day long, never rip, never once, right? You can run hooks, bounce hooks all day long on and off of it, never puncture it, right? But the whole thing is it weighs 33 pounds. And I can attach a motor on the back. So it's like, man, and it's inflatable. So it literally inflates in 8 minutes. It's the greatest thing in the world. I could pull up to a ramp. I could put the thing into my cigarette lighter in my car and then fill it up in 8 minutes. I can just pick it up. It's 33 pounds. I can walk it down to the water. And then I strap a seat onto it and I put the motor on it. But it is so much easier. It's like,
Yeah. When we do some of the events, with Heroes on the Water, or even when I go out in front of people, it's like a 30-minute rigging process to get everything on it. And then you go out, and sometimes I'm not the best angler. I'm not the best kayak, or let's say, even though I'm immersed in it, I'm not the best at it. But it's a pain in the butt to do all this rigging and not catch anything. Whereas I could just take, just a plain Jane boat, throw it in the water, paddle around, and I'm good to go. So, because I've got the motor as well. And it's nice once it's all rigged.
45 minutes, an hour, and, just to get down a ramp and and then, you got to take into account, you're never the only one at a ramp, so you got a line of other kayakers, or you got people in actual bass boats, so it's like, they're trying to push you along. Hurry up.
If you're like 1 minute slower than they think you are.
Oh, yeah.
Like you should be.
Then you got to hear it from them, And it's like that turns into a fight at the ramp, and you're like, dude, is this really necessary? Like, why? But yeah, no, I still have my native Titan. And it's like, I'm just gonna say it's my competition kayak. So if I fish any of these kayaks or these tournaments, like I'm gonna go out there, I'm gonna put forth the best type that I can, and that means having all the advantages that I can. I have a trailer, Mr. Person that said that's why I'm looking into getting a trailer. It's still a pain in the ass. I'll drive my trailer straight down to the ramp, but you still have to offload it and you still have to rig it some fundamental way. For instance, you drive it down to the ramp, right? You still got to pull your kayak off, and then you got to go park your trailer. Well, you still got to set up your kayak crate or put your kayak crate in there. You got to put your rods in there, right? In my case, I have graphs, right? You can't drive with the graphs attached because the vibrations will just like cause it to fall off, right? So you got to put your graphs on, right? I don't leave my battery hooked up. So, you got to hook up your batteries for your motor and your graphs. So, I mean, there's still like, even if you have a trailer, I have a trailer. Man, it's not any shorter of a process. I guarantee you. The only shortness that does for you is if you have the what are those training wheels that they have on the back of the kayaks, where you can just like wheel your kayak,
like the Boondocks wheels or the
yeah. I mean, I
Wilder,
have a pair.
Wilder sides.
Yeah. I have a pair of those, but it doesn't save you any time. I mean, that's the time you're saving is between wheeling it down a ramp and driving it down a ramp.
I always put it off the side. Try any type of like bank entry, just so I'm not in anyone's way.
Yeah.
And then I video it and get all my views because people want to see a big guy dump his kayak. I have 90,000 views on what a fat guy getting in a kayak. Man, they were all just like, "Come on, roll it." No, they didn't get it.
That's so rude, man. People these days are so like off-putting.
Yeah.
It's like, why would you like hope someone gets hurt or takes a fall? It's so like,
it's a little bit of everyone, because I did a Heroes on the Water event and I made a joke to this gentleman. I said, "Oh, I hope I don't roll it over." And in the video, you could see him behind me recording me go. And then when I made it out, he just like put it down all disheartened. He was like ready for it. Show all his friends. I don't
understand why you would willingly root for someone to fail. It's like, that's so negative.
But, yeah, so I do miss the days of having the throw and go kayak, just because sometimes if you put all that effort into putting it together, get on the water, and then something happens 30 minutes in, you're like, I have to leave, and I put all of this effort into what I've done. So
I've had that happen before. I actually, we have a lake out here called Harris Lake. It's a nuclear power lake.
Mm-hmm.
There's like a nuclear plant right on it. It's like 200,000 acres. It's gigantic. I mean, it's just huge. And I think one time I was like, I didn't charge my battery, admittedly. I was like 10 miles away from the ramp because I had just motored out there all day, and then my battery died. And it's like, oh, great. Now I got to pedal back. And you're 10 miles away. So it's kind of like, that might seem like a simple little thing, but it's like, now I got to put all my effort into paddling back, and there's current pushing against me and not catching fish. So it's just like, all right, well, I guess I'll just get started now.
Yeah, I used to paddle the New Canoe Unlimited. And if I didn't have the rudder that goes on the foot control rudder, it would have been impossible, because that thing's a beast. And the wind was blowing. So, but yeah. So let me ask you this. I've always wondered, and you can choose not to answer, but do you feel obligated when you go fishing to fish your own lures? Like, to only fish your own lures?
Okay, so at heart, I am a soft plastic fisher. I have boxes of crankbaits and jerkbaits and glide. I mean, there's a sick place in my heart for glide baits. I love a glide bait. I don't know why. I've almost never caught anything on it. You'll throw a glide bait 10 hours a day and never catch anything. But I have boxes, crankbaits, jerkbaits, all that stuff. I never use them. I basically took them all. I just threw them in a box. They're in the back of a warehouse, like just in the dark corner somewhere. I never use them. So at heart, I am a soft plastic fisher. I love worms. I love wacky rigs, jigs, finesse fishing. That's my jam. So when I first started, I was like, oh, I'll use these other baits that I know I've used in the past that work. But now I make those baits. So it's kind of like, I'm not going to go buy a bag of Cincos, because I can just make stick baits that have exactly the same action as a Cinco. So when I first started, I was kind of like, oh, I'll use only other people's products and stuff. But now it's almost exclusively like, why would I even go to Cabela's or Bass Pro,
right,
when I can just make this? I mean, if there was a lure that I didn't make that I actually fished, which is, I don't even think it exists, because all the ones that I would normally throw, I make. And that includes like there was a short period of time when I first started the company where I was doing hand tied jigs.
Mm-hmm.
There's actually still a couple people that have those that just swear by them. I just really put a lot of time and effort to it. It was very, very enjoyable for me. But hand tying jigs is very difficult to market and very difficult to bring to scale. You almost have to, there's no real way you can do it by yourself or even with a crew of people. Like you almost have to outsource to a different country because you will very rapidly reach $2 or $3 in material before
Right.
you start paying for labor costs. But anyway,
Yeah, your return on the investment is very skewed there.
You can't have a return on investment. Like, look, if you're tying jigs for your buddies or a handful of friends or whatever, that I get that.
Mm-hmm.
If you're trying to take that to scale where you're selling 1,000 of these, every week, you can't. You cannot have a return on investment with jigs, at least, unless you outsource to China or Japan or something like that. But
Right.
So those, I'll still hand tie a jig myself that I'll take out. I don't sell them anymore, and at some point I'll make a return to hand tying jigs. I just needed to kind of focus the company a little bit more in the direction I wanted to go. But yeah, nowadays, like I said in the beginning, I don't even have time to fish. But if I did have time to fish, I would just grab from the box of soft plastics that I have,
Mm-hmm.
and I would just grab some hooks that I have, and I would just go out like that. I wouldn't even go to buy a bag of baits or anything.
Right. Because I own like I said, I own a photo studio, and when the kids come home with their school pictures, and I'm like, yep. And what's weird is, and I don't know if you're the same way or not, but when I see the pricing from the school, I'm like, what? I would never. And then I'm like, wait a minute, my prices are like 4 times that. Ooh.
Well, I try to, and I think it's a little different too, because in your industry, I can see, like, I would absolutely pay top dollar to have someone take very good quality pictures that I would post on the website,
Mm-hmm.
right? Like with correct lighting, a correct background, and a high def image. 100% I'd pay top dollar for that, right? So I can see in your industry, people buying, like, wedding photos. That's a big one, right? Like people are willing to spend money because they want quality pictures, right? Like you're not going to go to your like high school photo guy and be like, yo, photograph. I mean, you might photograph my wedding, I mean, maybe, but
Is that an iPhone 16? Can you do my wedding?
Right. Yeah. So I get it from your standpoint. Like,
Yeah,
it makes sense, but in fishing lures, the industry is only willing to accept a certain price. Like you're not going to go out and sell a $10 jig. Like no one in the industry would accept that. Just same as like Cinco right now, they are the ones that are dictating the market price for stick baits, right? And typically, I think it's $8.99 now for like 8 of them, right? Like it's just gone up over the years and years and years, right? So other bait makers now think that that's the price point, which of course it's not. But so with fishing lures, there's a cap. Like you couldn't make a bag of stick baits for $20, right? Because the quality, it doesn't matter what the quality is, right? Like with your stuff, you have high quality, you have high def, right? There's a tangible difference between iPhone 16 and hiring Roy to go out and photograph your wedding, right? In a stick bait, like there's only so much quality. You're never going to reach the point that you're not going to reinvent what Gary Yamamoto created, right?
Right.
And it's the same thing with all soft plastics. So soft cap, I guess.
So I'm gonna end off with this. Where do you see 4-7 lures in the next 5 years?
Well, according to my business goals, I have my house paid off in 5 years. So
Heck yeah.
Is
it on the vision board?
Yeah, I got pictures of it and everything. No, but I mean, honestly, when you start an LLC or any type of business and your passion is in it, a smart thing to do is 5-year goals. A very smart thing, because and this company's already been around 5 years and it's only been fishing focused for the past 2, so or 3 actually. So you kind of have to have that oversight on yourself. I see us scaling up. I see us like I said, we're moving into the trade show space. We're going to start doing trade shows. We're probably going to start traveling with trade shows. So, in other words, like North Carolina, Virginia, Georgia, Tennessee, right? Doing all of that. Try some hand painted Cincos. Yeah, I mean, I guess if you had a painted pattern that worked good enough, you could sell it for $20 a bag. But then again, I challenge you to realize the gain on that, because the amount of time that you're putting into painting those things will never equal out whatever you're charging for a bag.
The Bob Ross of baits over here.
Yeah, yeah. I mean, paint me a pretty tree, right? Like,
Yeah. Well, that's good that you have the plan to pay off the house and stuff like that. It's great that you're trending up. And
Mhm.
like I told you earlier when we were talking, I've watched some of your videos and I've watched your hand not hand poured, but you microwave but you have a huge facility,
Mhm. Yeah.
and I was unaware of that. Even though I've watched the videos and we've talked for a while,
Mhm.
I had no clue that if I shot you a 1,000-piece order, you'd be like,
Mhm.
all right, no big
Yeah,
deal.
yeah. So that's so the videos. I mean, the YouTube. That's one thing, right? That is,
Hmm.
a bait maker's world, right? It's kind of like an intro into like, hey, if you wanted to create a color, this is how you do it, right? So obviously, it's on a smaller scale. I'm set up for full on production now. I mean, I have 2 shooting stars. I've got 2 Presto pots. Each one of those does 12 cups a piece.
Hmm.
So, I mean, you could just sit and then I think we talked earlier. I have a full on air vise that I've built. I have cooling plates. Um, and when you're cycling water through these cooling plates, then I have it cycling. I even have this water going through radiators,
Hmm.
right? That's dissipating the heat even more. But I can get to the point where, the cooling plates have to stay a certain temperature, and that enables me cranking out 1,000 baits in a day or so. Because if you get past that point and you don't have something cooling your plates, you're just going to be cooking the plastic into oblivion. But yeah, I mean, I could do, and like I said, we still do small orders. We still
Hmm.
do like custom orders, small orders, 1 or 2 bags. Hey, I want some stick baits. Hey, I want some finesse worms. But I mean, I think I was telling you earlier, we did 500 bags of baits in December alone, and that's 500 bags. Each bag is like 6 to 10 individual baits, right? So 5, 6 thousand, maybe more baits that we just did in December alone.
Right.
Yeah. So,
Yeah, it's quite amazing. Yeah, because I had no clue. But yeah, you're ready to
yeah.
roll. And then so well, we're about at the hour mark. Is there anybody you want to shout out or anything you want to say before we jump off?
Yeah, actually, I am fortunate enough to work with a couple of YouTube personalities. One
Hmm.
is Travis does kayak fishing. He has great fishing content. Another is Abide Fishing. He also does great fishing content. And then one of our newer ones is Leland Stiff. So, I mean, if you guys, enjoy watching people going out catching fish or any sort of content related to that, check them out. We're like I said, we're fortunate enough to work with them, so I'm very blessed in that respect. I think that's about it.
I see that you have some signature baits for Travis does kayak fishing as well.
Yep, Abide as well. Abide also has his own. I try to do that with everyone that we work with. Give
Mhm.
them their own signature product and give them, because it's what they're confident in. And it's way easier to work with someone where you're getting something in return that works. It's like, hey, I know this color works. It's so easy for me to promote because I'd be throwing it normally.
Right.
Like I said, we're super fortunate to work with those guys. They're all great guys. They all put out amazing content. And then the other thing is, if you guys, if you want to get any bags of baits or any baits at all, www.47lures.com. It's a full on website. You can order and everything directly through the website. If there's a color that you want that's already up there, if not, you can shoot me an email and we can work on it.
Awesome. Everything looks great. The website is 47lures.com, and that's
Mm-hmm.
spelt out, and you
Yep.
can see everything they've got going on. So, all right. Well, I'm going to put you in the back. I'm going to say goodbye to everyone, and I'll hop in with you, and we'll say our goodbyes. So,
All right. Sounds
all right.
good.
I appreciate you coming on, and I'll be with you in just a minute.
All right.
All right, everyone. That was episode 11. We're at the 1 hour mark. I really appreciate Philip coming on. He has some great products. You should go check them out. I particularly like the Aerosphere. It's a very unique product, and the Wiggle Rib Wacky Worm is also another one that I wouldn't mind throwing. So, but he's got tons of different options in there, so you could check him out. You want to support someone, I think he's a great person to go support. So, and if anyone out there is looking for any coffee, kayakcoffee.com has offered a code CAFE20 for 20% off. They have some great coffee, which I love. Just if I could get a necklace made out of that, it's amazing stuff. Also, if you're looking for a mug from Kayak, the Kayak Cafe, you can go to Nico's Art Therapy on Facebook, and they have these mugs for sale. All of it goes to support Nico and his therapy. So go check that out and have a cup of coffee with a beautiful mug. So thank you guys again for everything, and I'll see you next week for episode 11.